Hey everybody, welcome to our full course on SEO and really just getting your content to have search traffic coming to it. What we're going to show you in this course differs dramatically from what most people in the industry teach, but we're not so interested in looking good by coming out with all these clever tips and techniques and stuff. What we want to share with you is just what has actually worked to get traffic for our websites. We've written thousands of blog posts over the years, and the cool thing is now we get to go back and we get to see which ones ranked, and we have spent countless hours analyzing those posts. Why did this one pop? Why did this one do so well? Why did this article not do so well and not bring traffic to us? And by creating not just one website that was successful, but multiple over the course of years, now it's so cool that we can look back and see, this is the recipe that we used to get us the quickest traffic, the most reliable traffic, etc. And so don't be surprised if you hear some things in here that are different than what you may hear. This is just the practical, what's actually working for us.
Yep. So the first thing that we want to get across to you is traditional SEO. All the tips and tricks and hacks to try to outsmart Google, we don't want you to do them, okay? If you have learned something from another course, like we talked about at the very beginning in the welcome video, don't try to mold that into this, okay? I don't want you to go pay for backlinks. I don't want you to go onto Fiverr and hire somebody to go create backlinks for you. I don't want you to send out email after email to other websites asking to write guest content for them to get backlinks to your website. What I'd rather see you do is spend your time creating really good content, like we're going to teach you how to do in this video. That is going to do more for you to drive traffic to your website. It might seem slower at first, but this is traffic that will pick up and then it will be steady. The worst thing that could happen to you is to put hours and hours, days, weeks, months, even years into a website where you've written lots of articles, and then because of something you did, Google is going to penalize your website because of some sort of black hat backlinking technique you try to use, some kind of trick to try to get around Google's algorithm. They catch you, they figure it out, and it's not like they're necessarily like, oh, we're gonna ding that website. They update their algorithm because they figure out what people are doing, and their whole job, and they're really good at this, by the way, is to help people find the content that will be most helpful to them. The customer to Google is the user of the internet. And so if the person that's using the internet has a question and they type it into Google, Google's going to try to find the best content to help that person. And if you try to trick Google, then eventually Google will figure it out and your content won't show up.
Yeah, one sign of this for me is you see so many other search engines that some of the most powerful companies in the world have tried to create to catch up with Google, and they just can't quite get them. Even Microsoft, with its vast resources, made a huge push to try to go after search, and still they're only able to capture a little sliver of the traffic that Google gets for search. And that's because the tool is so good for when you have a question, bringing the most helpful content to you. So the way to rank on Google really simply is be the guy with the most helpful content. There are occasions when I've written content where I've worked really hard on a resource and I put it out there and I felt really confident this should rank #1, and sometimes it just doesn't for whatever reason. But I would say even the majority of the time where I spent like 3 days on this one blog post and I just pour everything into making every word perfect, make it really long, awesome, helpful pictures and everything. Like, it usually works that it goes up to #1. And so that's our real goal in talking about SEO, is just how to help you create really helpful content, because usually that's going to work.
Yep. So over the course of this video, we want to point out some of the things that does help your content to be more helpful and to be more likely to be ranked highly on Google. Okay, so when we talk about SEO, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about creating awesome content.
One of the things that's really helpful is having a good headline. Do you do the same way as me? Whenever I'm writing, I start with the headline. It's rare that I come back to the headline. I'm trying to think of something that's clickable, that piques people's interest, not clickbaity or spammy, but just that's interesting.
Right.
And then that also clearly shows the person what resource they're going to get. So an example of this is a few weeks ago, one of my writers on my photography website was writing an article about how to set the camera settings on a Nikon D3200. Or how to set camera settings in general. And he said, and the title was, how to set the camera settings on any camera. That's what it was. And so he explained what ISO is, what aperture is, what shutter is, all these different things. But then as soon as we started getting comments on the article, we saw that the headline hadn't clearly communicated to people. People, when they saw that article on any camera, they expected to be told, press this and this and this button. And what he was teaching was actually just the fundamentals of how each of those different settings
work. What the number should be, or how to adjust, what the settings should be, as opposed to how to physically on the camera, which buttons to push, what to do. Yeah.
So when you're creating a heading, there are those two things you want to do: pique the interest, and then clearly communicate what you have for them.
So a couple of good rules of thumb. We do like to try to have sort of the main point, the main keyword or phrase for the article in the headline, mostly because, like you just said, we want people to know what they're going to get. If somebody is looking for a specific resource, like how to set the aperture setting on every camera, and we make a resource that's going to show them that, like show them what buttons to push, then the headline should clearly communicate that.
How to set the aperture on a Nikon D3200.
Exactly.
They know exactly what you're going to get, what they're going to get in that post.
Now, on the other hand, don't cram too much into this. There are people who will try to cram a lot of keywords into the article or into the headline, thinking that will somehow make it rank better on Google.
Best hosting plans 2018 for WordPress blogs in the United States.
It's not interesting anymore.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the headline, it's less about the Google algorithm, because Google's looking more at your content than your headline. It's more about when you do show up on that first page of Google, it's about being the one that people click on. Okay?
Yeah, so let's say I have a leaky faucet, and I have no idea how to fix this. And so I say, how to fix a leaky bathroom faucet. And then I'm looking at the search results. Well, I'm concerned that I'm going to have to read 4,000 words on this thing. But if the top article is, fix any leaky faucet with this illustrated guide. Ooh, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to get this illustrated guide that's going to show me how to fix any faucet. Perfect. I feel very confident with that. And so your goal with the headline is just to give the reader confidence that you can help them. So not all posts, though, are strictly informational like that. So for example, if I am a painter and I want to learn how to paint water, I might not search for how to paint water. I might search for water painting tips. And so for that, I may not want my article to be called water painting tips. I might. It may be more interesting if I call it something like 21 tips for painting realistic water paintings. Paintings, whatever. You get the idea. It's a 21 tips. It's a list post. Or you may do something that's a little bit more creative, like you're searching for tips on how to get a date. And so when you're searching for how to get tips on how to get a date, the real thing that everybody's afraid of is getting rejected, right? And so you think about that psychology. Yes, they want to get a date, but in the back of their mind, the thing that they're afraid of is they're going to get rejected and look like an idiot. And so maybe you call this post "How to Get a Date and Not Look Like a Fool." And then it played into their psychology in addition to just what they were searching for. So let's do an actual example of this. Something like, let's say I'm interested in traveling, so let's search Thailand travel. I want to take my boys to Thailand. So Ricky's going to press enter. We're going to go to Google, and he's going to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and we see the searches related to Thailand travel. Now our goal here, we know our keyword is Thailand travel, but we want to find what's the psychology that people are thinking.
Exactly. So there are 8 related searches that show up on Google. Thailand travel tips, that's pretty generic. Thailand travel warning. Okay, so some people that are searching
They're nervous.
for Thailand travel, they're like, okay,
Seems like an exotic country.
is there something that I need to be aware of? Thailand travel packages. Okay, that has to do with like
Price.
the price and the options. What can I do in Thailand? Traveling to Thailand, what do I need? So that's stuff.
Their gear.
There's a couple here that are Thailand Travel Blog and Thailand Travel Blog 2017.
First time in Thailand, where do I go? Looking for locations.
And first time Thailand itinerary.
So if you're trying to rank for something as general as Thailand travel, which is very general, probably we're going to take something more specific like, best time to travel in Thailand or something like that. But well, let's say we're going to do that. Best time of year to travel in Thailand. And then the psychology of people saying, what am I going to pack? Is it safe? Things like that. And so you try to craft a headline that incorporates some of that into the search result. Best time to travel in Thailand safely. Or best time to travel in Thailand and not get rained on all year long. Something like that.
Right. So when I type that in, best time to travel to visit Thailand, what I come up with are a whole bunch of related searches to specific places in Thailand people want to go.
Phuket, Pattaya, yeah.
Yeah, so what it comes down to is, comes back to that first search, which people are looking for, okay, if I'm going to Thailand, where should I go?
Yeah.
And so if I'm looking for the best time to travel to Thailand, best time of year, I should say, that's what they're thinking about, is what's the best time to go to certain places. They're thinking about locations.
Yeah, so maybe you craft a headline that's something like best time to travel to these popular locations in Thailand,
or best time of year to travel to Thailand to hit these 4 locations.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
I mean,
best time to travel Thailand and my favorite location, something like that.
Yeah.
So you're crafting a headline, seeing what the psychology is of the person searching it, and then you can just nail the headline every time because you kind of know what's in the back of their head. And I found that's just a really helpful tip for getting your headlines clickable. A couple ideas of ways to get your headlines really going well are one, look at magazines. Magazines are really great at finding helpful ones. List posts, 21 tips for this, 11 tips for that. These 11 most inspiring places to visit in Thailand. List posts like that do very well. Look at Facebook. What kind of stuff is getting shared on your feed that just friends are sharing? And then every time you see, you're like, ooh, what a clever headline. You just put it in your notes app on your phone or something. Keep those because you'll want to use them all the time, and then you can just change it to whatever your niche is. 2 of my most popular headlines ever were 21 tips you can use today to change your photography forever. And people were interested because whoa, I can do something today that's going to change my photography skills forever. That's cool. And that article got over 1 million page views to that one article. Another one is 9 weird photography tricks that actually work. My keyword was photography tricks. And I kind of thought, the psychology is people are going to find tricks here that are just that doesn't really work, or they're just kind of gimmicky. And so I called it 9 weird photography tricks that actually work. Over 1 million page views on that one article. So thinking through a clever headline is very important. Some of them can be vanilla. How to fix a leaky faucet with pictures, or how to fix a leaky faucet, an illustrated guide. It's pretty vanilla. Yep. I just have the information, but sometimes you really got to get clever and creative to get interest.
And sometimes it's good to take a firm stance on something that might be a little bit, that people have different opinions on. We don't recommend a lot of opinion posts that are just opinion posts, but if
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it makes sense. Take a stance. It might be a little bit controversial, and people on both sides of that issue will see that and be like, hold on, I want to see what they have to say about that. And and an example that we've used in the past is like Tesla Model 3 review, I'll never drive a gas car again.
Perfect.
It's like, you know what I think about the Tesla Model 3
Right.
just from the headline, but you're like, okay, let's see what this guy has to think about that.
Yeah, it's so much more interesting to read that.
Yep.
So that's headlines. The reason that we mention that like first thing in our section on SEO is because I think it really is important. How much of a shame would it be to write an awesome 4,000 word post that Google even thinks is great content? They show you on page 1 of the search results, and then just nobody clicks it really because it doesn't clearly communicate what you have, etc. And if people aren't clicking on it when Google puts you on page 1, you're going to find yourself falling off the search results quickly. Headline is important. I would start with the headline.
All right, so now let's talk about how we actually come up with these topics for our articles. So we know how to write good headlines, but how do we research keywords to figure out which things to actually write about? There are a lot of tools out there that people are using, and they'll say you got to use the keyword tools. You got to pick the ones with high search volume, low competition. We don't use any of those. Save your money, put your wallet away, and let's go into some of the real, just basic and free ways you can do this.
And free, it's not that we aren't willing to invest in our business. If there were keyword tools that we thought would help us, we'd buy them. Yeah. Just that we have bought them, and like a lot of them, and we just haven't found it to be as helpful in actually helping us find the good keywords as doing the method that we're about to show you. Yep. So there are a lot of different ways we're going to show you to help finding the keyword research, but we want to start with our alphabet soup method because it's the one that at least I use most.
Oh, absolutely. And even if I brainstorm an idea through some of these other techniques that we'll show, I always go back to the alphabet soup method, and I always, and actually even beyond that, go back to sort of the competition gauge that we used when picking the topic in the first place.
Yep,
but yeah, I always go back to this in the end. All right, so here's how the Google Alphabet Soup method works, and we really do use this more than anything else. We're going to start by picking a topic. We're going to start really high level, and we're going to talk about mountain biking. Okay. Now let's pretend we really have no idea what to write about. So we're just going to type in the main keyword, mountain, if I could spell, biking, and then I'm just going to type in the letter A. And what you'll notice is Google is going to auto-complete that search with various terms. What Google's trying to do is guess what I'm going to type next to save me time.
And of course, it's going to guess the things that it sees the most search volume for.
Right.
So you get where he's going with this. It's just a way to find out the best keywords in your as a sub niche of mountain biking, just by using Google's autocomplete.
And look what we got here, just on the first try. Mountain biking apparel. Okay, I'm not an apparel site, but there are people searching stuff about mountain biking apparel. Maybe I can give some good tips. Mountain biking accessories. So that's kind of the gear stuff.
Yeah, my 21 favorite mountain biking accessories. Great article.
And then here, mountain biking at night. Well, that's pretty cool. Like we could probably write 10 articles about different things related to nighttime mountain biking, because apparently that's enough of a thing. Google's talking about it.
And in fact, you can take it a step further. Now you could make your keyword that you type in Google night mountain biking, and then do letter A, letter B, letter C, to see what else is there.
Night mountain biking at night. Okay.
Night mountain biking alone.
Night mountain biking glasses. There we go. So you could, that's a product-based topic, but this is going to give us lots of ideas.
Yeah, because most mountain biking glasses are tinted, and at night you'd obviously want clear.
Exactly.
So it doesn't send debris into your face, but they're clear so you can actually see. So now we've stumbled on a good topic that's going to be much less competitive than just mountain biking.
Now, here's another fun tip. I can type in how to, and then I'm going to put in an asterisk. This tells Google that I'm leaving the middle, or at least one word, even more, potentially, out of the search. And so I'm going to type how to asterisk a mountain bike. Okay, how to choose a mountain bike, how to size a mountain bike, how to ride a mountain bike, how to clean a mountain bike, how to asterisk mountain biking. See what comes up. How to mountain bike jump.
How to mountain bike downhill.
Yep.
How to mountain bike for beginners. This is just like, it's awesome for finding the best keywords. It takes like no time, and I mean, I've done this for so many websites. I mean, in an hour, you could have a list of 100 different keywords that you can write articles for. Now, the next step that we're going to take after we just find the general ideas is I'm going to actually Google them and see, you know, if there's a really good authoritative article on best mountain biking glasses for night biking. Then I'm probably not going to write that one. Yeah. But I'm going to take my list of 100 that we make, and I'm going to start Googling them. And if I say, hey, the articles here aren't very helpful, didn't directly answer the question, or it's just forums, just not very good short articles are on there, then, you know, perfect, I got one and I can write this.
Exactly. And from there, I'm going to take my list, and once I've got which ones I'm going to actually write about, I'm going to turn those into headlines way before I even write the article. All right, so that's the alphabet soup. Like we said, we use that more than anything else. There are some other techniques you can use to try to find, you know, you just don't even know where to start right now. Have this total writer's block. One of my favorites is a free tool called answerthepublic.com. We go to Answer the Public and we take some keyword or some phrase and we type it in the search box. So let's go mountain biking. And just hit enter. And what I'm going to get here is a list of first questions. This takes a few seconds. 150 questions related with the term mountain biking or something really close in it. Below that, I'm going to have a list of prepositions where it's got some prepositional phrase like, you know, here, with or without, at, just various other search terms related to mountain biking. And then we get these comparisons. And then I get a whole list, an alphabetical list of, in this example, almost 500 different search phrases with mountain bike or mountain biking in them. A lot of these are not going to lend themselves well to an article.
Right.
Mountain biking Yellowstone. Maybe I could write a mountain biking guide for Yellowstone. That could be a cool article. But you're going to get a lot of location-based searches.
Yep. So the general workflow when I'm looking for an article to write is, first, I do this process with the Google Alphabet Soup method, with Answer the Public and others that we'll show you here, just to get the ideas of general keywords. Right. Then I'm going to actually Google them to see how competitive the search results are. If there's already really helpful content out there, you don't need to rewrite it. People are already being helped. Find somebody who's not being helped with a good search result, and then you craft your headline to really answer what people are looking for. So it's kind of that 3-step process.
The next one is we're going to use, actually we've kind of shown this before, Google recommended search. So in this situation we actually do a search, and so let's go night mountain biking tips. Now I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the first page on Google and see what the recommended searches are, or related searches are, okay? Mountain biking in the dark, MTB riding, night riding lights. And there's 2 reasons why we can do this. One, we've talked about before, and that is to kind of get the psychology of what people are after. But the other one is to get other ideas that are related. And so here we might write an article that's about mountain bike night riding lights. We might write one.
They're just endless ideas. So you can use the auto-suggest or these search suggestions at the bottom of the page. Both are helpful, and they will be different.
And I can click on one of these and kind of go down a rabbit hole, and maybe go 2 or 3 steps down. So I clicked on one. I'm going to click on another one. Riding bike at night laws. That's kind of an interesting one. Maybe if I click on that one, I'm going to get some other ideas. Rules for bicycles on the road. Bicycle laws, Texas, California, but is it illegal to ride a bike without lights? This could lead you way off track, and if it starts to, then start over. But anyway, I like to do that sometimes when I just have total writer's block. My hit list of article ideas is getting really low. Sometimes I'll kind of go down this kind of rabbit hole.
Two other sources you can go to think of ideas for articles are, one, Reddit. There's going to be a subreddit on just about any topic. So just search mountain biking and then the word Reddit, R-E-D-D-I-T, in Google. And it's just a giant forum, essentially. And just go read through a bunch until you find some questions that people ask. And that can be an idea. You can go on Amazon product listings and look in the answers, the question and answer section, and see what people are asking there. Look on forums in your industry, and then you'll just get lots of ideas. But honestly, finding the volume of keywords of just different ideas is a piece of cake. You can get thousands in just a couple hours. It's then seeing how competitive they are if there's a good resource. But if I think I can make something better, then I craft my headline and start writing. So that's really the whole process of keyword research that we're doing. And of course, the question that you're going to have is, yeah, but how many people are searching this? You know, is it worth my time to write an article on how much do RVs weigh? Is anybody even searching this? I kind of go again with just a really practical way of looking at this. And I say, is that a reasonable question for somebody to ask? Is it reasonable for somebody getting into RVs to wonder how much they weigh because they're wondering if they can tow it with their car? Sure, it's a reasonable question.
Sure.
And if it's a reasonable question, we're talking about a resource you can make available to the whole planet for the next 10 years. And so the reasonable question is going to be asked. And you can't always know what the search volume is going to be. I've been surprised so many times by articles that I thought, oh, this is kind of a small little article. I don't think this is going to do much. And then it brings in 10,000 people every single month for 5 years.
Yeah.
So if it's a reasonable question, write it. It will bring some people, and it may bring a lot of people. It's worth your time to write it if it's a reasonable question.
Yep. It is, when it comes to these websites and this content marketing that we're talking about, it really is kind of a numbers game. The more articles you write, the more people you're going to be able to reach. And if you wait until you are absolutely certain something's going to be successful, you will be waiting forever and you'll never get started. And in the meantime, the person who just wrote the article will be earning a good income. Mm-hmm. So quit it. All right, so kind of the next point about these posts and writing these articles. When it comes to SEO, we told you that we'd give you some sort of tips that do help. Longer posts do better. This
is probably the number one SEO tip I have, period, in existence.
And this is not a trick that Google will ever ding you for. It's not something where Google's going to be like, you know what, let's make long posts not rank well. Yeah. Let's ding everybody that's ever written a long article.
Yeah, it's just, it seems counterintuitive when you're writing a post. You think, oh, no, I just want quick answer, tell them in 2 sentences, this is the answer. And that's really not what Google is looking for. It's not what people are looking for because it's not that helpful. The example is this. Let's say you go into Home Depot or Lowe's or some kind of home improvement store, which I do regularly. I like to do stuff around my house, but I'm not that handy. So I go up to somebody and I say, hey, I'm trying to build a newel post for my stairs. How do I do that? If the guy just swings his arm and says, aisle 15, and walks away, okay, I mean, that's kind of an answer. There's newel post stuff on aisle 15. That's the couple paragraph answer. But how cool would it be if he says, oh, great, it's on aisle 15. Let me go over there and I'll show you a few of my favorite newel posts. And then when we get over there, he says, but you know what? You're going to need these other things. And he walks me through this whole tutorial to show me how to do it. Me, as somebody who's not really sure how to do many home improvement things, I'm going to be so glad for that guy who helped solve all my problems. Not just the one question, where are the newel posts, but the other thing I was looking for too. And that's the real key to this. It's about being the most helpful you possibly can when somebody gets to your page. My goal with every article I ever write is, okay, what would the ultimate resource on this question look like? And then I create it. And if you're always focused that much on the user, just trying to actually help people, you know what? It's going to pay off. and people are going to appreciate it and be interested in your recommendations of products, your products, whatever it is you have to sell.
Awesome. So that actually leads right in to our post recipe. This is how we write a good post, no matter how long or how short it is. Really, in terms of article length, there are varying different types of posts, and we're going to get to that in just a minute. The top ranking posts on Google, on average, are about 2,000 words.
Yeah, I think it's 1,980.
Yeah, really close to 2,000.
Right in there.
So, and we'll talk a little bit about post length in a second, but for every post we write, no matter how long or how short, there's kind of a recipe we follow. Every article starts off usually with a brief little 1 or 2 sentence paragraph.
Yeah,
right?
The other day I was looking for ways to add a newel post to my stairs. Just some kind of interest grabber.
Yeah, something that, just kind of makes you relatable or whatever. Then we're going to start our second paragraph, and the second paragraph is going to answer the question. It's going to give the 1 or 2 sentence answer. It's going to say, newel posts are on aisle 15. Well, not literally, but that's the metaphor. It's going to give the one answer, or the one word, or the one sentence answer. And oftentimes we're even going to bold that. Mm-hmm. We're going to make it really clear, really obvious. Google actually really likes that, and people really like that. But then we're going to say something along the lines of, but it depends on this, or keep reading for the complete guide to installing a new post, or to designing your new post, or there are various different things we can do from that point to take what would be a very simple, short answer and turn it into a longer form piece of content.
And
that's really
usually
helpful.
The way that we're going to do that is by adding subheadings that are just, what's the next question somebody's going to ask after I tell them aisle 15? After I say, an RV weighs between 2,000 and 5,000 pounds and thus can be towed by most SUVs and trucks. Okay, that's our bolded answer that we put right there. It's the most helpful we could put in 3 sentences, is that bolded answer right at the top. And then I say, okay, I've answered their question now, but what are they going to wonder? Now they're going to wonder, how do I find out how much my vehicle can tow? So I make a subheading that says, how to find out how much your vehicle can tow. And you say, well, you need to check the sticker on your door or your actual VIN number, not just what's in the user manual. And then you get another subheading that says, if your vehicle can't tow much, what are your options? And you write a few paragraphs on how to find lightweight RVs that you can tow. You're just being super helpful, anticipating their needs. And that's how you take a simple question and you turn it into a 2,000 word post that's the ultimate resource.
Right. Sometimes it's even the caveats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the example of, what draw weight, what's the most, the heaviest bow that a woman can shoot or whatever. And obviously the answer is going to be, it depends. And so what you're going to give in the short answer is, for most women, a really good draw weight is 35 pounds or whatever. But it depends on what they're using it for. It depends on
how strong
who the woman is and all this. So now I'm going to create all these subheadings. So it's like, how strong is this person? And just kind of, and I'm going to, are we using it for, if we're using it for hunting, the minimum draw weight for most, for depending on the state, might be like 40 pounds. You say, you know what? If you want to use it for hunting, no matter how strong you are, you need to be able to pull a 40-pound bow. And so it's kind of those caveats. So sometimes it's more details. Sometimes it's the caveats, and sometimes it's what are the next 3 questions that the person needs to answer now that they've got their first question answered.
What we just shared was a significant part of this course, and so I want to make sure that you don't forget this one. This post recipe will apply to not every article you write. It may be an article like, 21 tips for this, and it's just a list post. It doesn't really follow this recipe. But I would say a lot of the content that I write is answering someone's question on a topic. And whenever I'm answering somebody's question on a topic, I almost always follow this recipe. Interest sentence, bolded 2 sentences just giving the answer, and then I start having subheadings to further develop the idea. That's the post recipe, and we found it to work extremely well on Google. It gives them the answer right away, so they have confidence that you have their information, and then it overwhelms them with a helpful resource by giving them even more than you had promised. So that's the post recipe.
All right, so now let's talk about the mix of content, the different types of articles. We've alluded to this a couple times. There are actually basically 3 different types of articles that we write on all of our websites. And what we're going to tell you to do is we're actually going to give you an order to write these in. There's a reason for it. And we're going to talk to you about what the value is of each of these types of posts and what they actually are.
And I might add, not to like pat ourselves on the back on this, but I think this is probably one of the things in this course that's going to give you the biggest boost, the biggest jump ahead, because you have this information. And I think you'll see why by the end. But this is something that's taken us years to kind of recognize, and I've never seen other people talking about online. Yeah. But I think will help your niche site to grow much, much more quickly. Yeah. So there are 3 types of articles. The first is a response article. The second is a staple article. And the last one is your pillar post. And so we're going to split up all of the articles you write among these 3 different types. So let's dive right now into the specific types of posts. The first is the response post. This is where you're providing a specific answer to a pretty specific question. So let's say I were selling my home by owner. I didn't want to get a real estate agent. So this is not the kind of general search term like tips for selling a home by owner. That's a really big term. I'm looking for something really specific, like how to get a for sale by owner home listed on MLS in Idaho. This is something really specific. And you may think, boy, this is, not going to bring much traffic, but there may be 50, 100,000 people a year that list their home for sale by owner in Idaho each year. I really have no idea. And if you're the only one who's written this post, there's a really good chance that you're going to bring 100,000 people to your website. That's really cool.
And there's a reason we do this one first. These are the articles that are the easiest to rank on Google.
Because there's no competition.
Yeah, you're ranking for something so specific. You've written something so specific. There's not competition to try to beat out. Mm-hmm. And so Google's going to find that content, and for the people that do search that, yours is the best content. It'll go right to the top.
And I can't tell you how many times I've written these response posts where I'm like, well, that was kind of specific. And then it ends up bringing a lot of traffic into the website. And that's why, another reason why I think it's awesome to start a website right at the moment where you're just learning about a certain topic. You're not the expert. And an example of that is our website, camperreport.com. One of the top keywords going to that website is how much does an RV weigh? How much does a travel trailer weigh, I should say. And the reason is, when I was buying an RV before I even started this website, I had Googled a ton of different things before I purchased. This is how I type, apparently.
Yeah.
But I had Googled a bunch of things, and so I went into my Google search history, and I just looked for everything I had mentioned about travel trailer, and one of them I had searched was, how much does a travel trailer weigh? And that might seem like a silly question until you realize, oh, the reason was I wanted to know if my SUV could pull it or if I had to buy a truck. And so it may be something that other bloggers will skip over this question, not seeing the value in it. But you, because you're new into this topic, you realize, oh no, that's actually a great question. Now, before we get off response posts, I do need to say though, you want to go for a specific small question that there really is little to no competition for on Google. But there is such a thing as too specific. So just be careful and you're going to get better at it with time, just kind of judging if you think maybe people are interested in this. But yeah, I can't even think of an example right now. But especially a certain question about one certain product that isn't even that popular. If it's a certain question about an iPhone, that's probably good. But you can get too specific, so just be careful.
One of the questions we get a lot is, how do I take such a specific question and answer and turn that into a 1,500-word post? Go back to that post recipe. If you think about, okay, I was asked this one question, what further detail can I give? What are the next 3 likely questions? It can seem really daunting to have to write a 1,500-word post. It's a lot of words. But if I take that post and I divide it into 5 segments, I'm really writing 5 300-word posts.
Yep.
And that's actually a lot easier to do.
And another way is with a lot of examples.
Yes.
You know, how much does a travel trailer weigh? I don't know, between 1,500 and 10,000 pounds is your answer. But then I say, you know, and then you have a paragraph of examples. And you just give, you know, the Fleetwood A7B2 weighs this, this weighs that. And then people can they get your general answer, and then they can look at all your examples, and then they'll have a pretty good idea of what they're looking for. Okay, a 26-foot long trailer weighs about this. So it's helpful to just include more information. Remember, ultimate resource even for a response post.
All right, now let's talk about these staple posts. These are kind of the bread and butter of the website. These are going to be about 2,000 to 2,500 words a piece. Okay, so a little bit longer, but again, these are the ones that are going to be able to rank well with a little bit more time. These posts are going to answer a little bit broader questions, but they're not all question and answer posts. Now we're getting into list posts. The top 11 tips for this. My 5 favorite products for this.
10 gorgeous places to visit on Hawaii.
Yeah, for inspiration type websites and things. So these are content that's a lot more shareable. These are the kind of content you might see pinned on Pinterest, or you might see a YouTube video made out of some of this content. So it's a little bit meatier, like I said, a little bit longer post. But really, this is kind of the bread and butter of the website.
Yeah, what you'll find is during these 60 actions to build your website, these staple posts will only make up about a third of the total posts that you write. You may find that after you have your website established and you're continuing to write on the website and you want to get 300, 500 posts on there someday to build up a huge website, you may find that 60% of your content becomes these staple posts. The reason that we want it to be a smaller portion right now is because we want to allocate more of the content mix to the response posts, because those are more likely to get ranked when you're a small site. So the staple post could be a quick guide, guide to photography in Zion National Park, or a quick guide to fixing your faucet that's leaky, etc. It could be a product review. I don't think we need to do a ton of product reviews. Again, we're going to show you by creating a resource page. Every article doesn't need to be products on Amazon and just constant links to Amazon if you're an Amazon affiliate. Instead, you make your one page that says, these are my favorite dirt biking helmets of all time, and then you just link to that page from in your posts. And you just have a few monetized posts on your whole website, and you're linking to them from all your other posts. But it could be a product review of a major product, a camera, a tripod, an RV, whatever it is that your topic is.
All right, the third kind of post, and this is going to be about the last third of your website. And in fact, in these 60 action steps, these will be a third of your posts. These are called pillar posts. These are longer form, very detailed content.
3,500 words,
yeah,
big ones.
Exactly, 3,500 plus words. We've written posts that are more like 6,000 words before. These tend to be more complete guides. They tend to be long list posts. We've done a handful of posts that are like 50 of this, or the 101 things type article, 101 ways to impress a girl. That could be a 5,000 word article. And these kind of articles rank really, really well on Google. They bring in lots of traffic, but they take longer. You need to build up more authority on your site for these type of posts to be really effective.
Because these are hunting big keywords with a lot of traffic. So Google's not going to give you this right away. That's why we're going to push these pillar posts to the end of your 60 actions, because frankly, if you write them now, no matter how good they are, they're unlikely to rank, at least not for a long time. So we want to start with the ones that will get you ranking the quickest on Google. But these pillar posts will bring in a lot of traffic to your website when you hit them right. So, for example, this may be a general how-to, like how to drive a stick shift car. They're big topics that millions of people are searching, and because of that, you better make this awesome, meaty resource for them to do it. So looking at all three of the different types of content, our response posts, our staple posts, and our pillar posts, the whole purpose is sizing the content to the topic. If this is a really big topic, like you need a whole class on how to drive a stick shift vehicle, and so we need a big resource for it. Something like how much can a 2007 Dodge Durango tow needs a tiny post. 1,500 words will do just fine to answer this question. So don't kill a tiny keyword with a cannon. Just make sure you're sizing it correctly.
All right. And then kind of where we're headed from here. You notice we're talking about content. At this point, we want you to go ahead and start writing. Okay, we're going to have you start writing these response posts so you can start getting some content up on your website. We actually want you to get some content up and published before we start worrying about customizing our site, building menus and stuff. That's going to come soon, but it's a lot easier to do that. Well, for two reasons. It's a lot easier to do that once you have some content to work with. You can actually see how it's going to look. And two, it takes time for these posts, even response posts, to start to rank really well on Google. And the sooner we get them published, the sooner they're going to rank. So let's get these articles published. Let's make your site live, and then we'll worry about customizing the site after this next steps.
One thing that we get asked a lot at this stage is, when should I publish my website? And you heard Ricky say, get the site live. Yep. And this is why you don't wait till your website is perfect and pristine and you've done everything and all 60 actions are done before you press publish and get this website live on the internet, because then your countdown clock for Google to start testing your content and seeing how it's going to rank on Google won't start until the very end. We want it to start yesterday.
Right.
It's like planting a seed. The earlier you plant, the earlier you reap. And so we want to make sure we get this done as quickly as possible. And you're totally right about getting the website designed. Trying to design a website where you don't have articles yet is really painful, because you say, oh, there's this annoying space right here. And it's because, well, it's going to be filled up with articles once you have it. Or trying to get your menu categorized before you have articles to put in them. You don't know what the categories are going to be yet. So it's tempting, it's exciting sometimes to work on the design and get it all looking pretty, but this is a quicker way to success.
All right, so now we have talked about a whole bunch of stuff when it comes to creating content. This really is the meat of the course. We're going to spend a lot of time now, just over the coming days, weeks, months, however long it takes you, creating lots and lots of content. So feel free to come back to this video as often as you need to for a refresher. And we just want you to be successful and to be able to just make post after post after post that's going to drive tons of traffic to your website and help your website to be successful.
The real trick to SEO is creating the most helpful content possible. Now, in this course, we have kind of a recipe for how many posts we want you to see you do, because that's the number we've seen that, like, at this point, we feel confident that it can grow and Google can just continue to rank you higher and higher. If you don't create enough content, you only have 3 or 4 posts, Google just doesn't give you much of a chance. So this is the amount of content we feel confident can start that snowball of traffic to grow for you. But because you know a number of posts that you need to write, and there is that amount of work to be done, it's going to be tempting for you to really rush through things and just, cranking out as many posts as possible. But pay close attention to these word counts that we've talked about. 1,500 for that response post, 2,500 for the staple post, and then 3,500 for the pillar post, in the neighborhood. And that will help you to make sure you're making the ultimate resource for each one and not just churning stuff out. If you write way too short of content, just test after test has shown it doesn't work. So this is Jim and Ricky's approach to SEO. We found that it works well, and I hope it does wonders for your site.